In 2022, Canada set a dubious record when over 100,000 vehicles were stolen from homes from coast to coast. However, that number has actually gone down the last few years. To talk more about a real change in trends in vehicle theft in this country, is always able to be joined by the man himself, the sweetest of all sweet bastards, Mike Wixon. How are you, brother?
You know what? That's now on my bio full time. Nice to see you, Jim.
Good to see you, Mike.
Thanks for having me in to talk about this. You know, I lived in, I spent a year living in Brampton while I was arranging for my my home. And in my neighborhood, it wasn't a matter of, oh my gosh, somebody's car got stolen. It was, whose car got stolen today? And it was like that the entire time that I was there. During that year was 2022.
And that was a bad winter, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
And so what was happening, there was a lot of what they call warm-up thefts. People go outside, start their vehicle, go back in, grab everything, walk outside, car's gone.
Yeah.
And these are typical average middle-class suburban neighborhoods all throughout the country, but especially in colder parts of the country where people would go outside and start the car. And all of a sudden, past that, people have gone to installing remote starters. So the car still stops. Installing bollards, like you see in parking garage, on their driveway. Some people have bought the Denver boot that you get from parking enforcement that you can put on your own car.
Wait a minute. What's the other one you talked about? It's like poles that come up at the end of your driveway sort of thing?
It's about 3-4 feet high.
Yeah.
And it's like when you go to certain parking garages, until you pay or swipe, then they drop, you can drive in.
Do people put that in their driveways
They
now?
are installing them on their driveway in certain neighborhoods across Canada, and they determine how many they need to make sure. So you couldn't cut through them with a chainsaw.
Right. Of
So-
course, they are posts. There's metal posts that come out of the ground. I've seen, you know where they have them? Parliament.
Yes, exactly.
Like in security areas.
It's 100%. Anything high security. So people
Yeah.
were like, hey, like you just said,
Yeah.
I just saw on my street 4 or 5 cars get stolen. That's it. I'm not putting up with it. They're paying the money, getting them installed. They have a key fob. It drops them all down. They can drive away. So their car's protected. Because think about this. Most Canadians, their garage is not for the car. It's for overflow storage. Not many people have a garage that's empty enough to put their vehicle in.
I've got room for one vehicle. My car gets stolen. My wife's is safe. You know, Jim, this is anecdotal, but on the weekend, Paul and I were talking from TPL here, and one of his friends has had their third car stolen.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
it makes me think, I got to ask you this question, because as I reflect upon that myself, I just assume my car is going to get stolen at some point. I don't know why it's just by statistics, I guess, or the way that we've been hearing about it. I look out at my car in the driveway and think, oh, aren't I lucky?
And there seems to be a trend, and the CAA, the Police Association, the RCMP, et cetera, every year they have a list of the most stolen vehicles in Canada. Pickup trucks are always rated at the very top. SUVs, especially the high-end stuff like the Range Rovers and Lincoln Navigators, Cadillac Escalades, top of mind. And high-performance cars, your Audis, your Porsches, your Ferraris, high-performance stuff like that gets stolen. Like
That might explain why you and I haven't had our
I have an
cars
old
stolen.
Volkswagen,
Yeah,
so
me too.
I'm pretty safe. But our neighbors across the road, they have a really nice, fully loaded Ford pickup, which is one of the most stolen vehicles in the country. But they have also a runaround Hyundai. And every night they do the change of the cars. So you can't get the truck out of the driveway because the Hyundai's pinned right there. So there's no way to steal it.
So it is top of mind for them.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone.
Now, Jim, even with the most recent reports saying that we have come down in 10% or more in auto thefts in Canada, that's still top of mind for them. That's still top of mind. And in fact, it's still top of mind for 64% of Canadians who fear that their car might be stolen.
So much so that there's a whole cottage industry now in Canada, how to protect your car from being stolen. There is new wheel locks you can put on the steering wheel. So there's basically, you can go on Amazon Canada, you can go to Canadian Tire, you can go to any auto parts store, Princess
It's almost
Auto.
a section in
It's
the
a
auto.
section. It is. So it's a protect your car section, and all the different tips from all the local police forces, how to protect your vehicle, how to be vehicle smart. Because, I mean, when you look at over 100,000 in 2022, it dropped to 83,600 plus in 2025. And now you're looking at 20,000 in the first 6 months of this calendar year in 2026. Well, that's a drop. And there's many factors. I think personally, the gangs and thieves are getting more selective what they steal.
Well,
So they're getting more bang for the buck.
When all this was going on the first time, and Ekate, I guess the
Yes.
research company that got in on trying to figure out where we are with auto thefts here in Canada, one of the things they noted was that there was an enormous demand internationally because the pandemic had stopped car production.
Absolutely.
There was a huge car demand, auto demand around the world, and it was really profitable at that time to take the risk and steal cars.
And the big pickup trucks and the 4x4 SUVs are gold in a lot of countries around the world.
Yeah.
You can't, there's no Ford dealership in a lot of these countries to get a fully loaded 4-wheel, heavy duty pickup truck.
I remember seeing images, and I'll see if I can find some in time to put it up for this episode or in the social media. But I remember seeing images of car lots in Uganda that had cars on it with Ontario,
Quebec,
and Alberta,
BC.
and Quebec license plates. And I was like, oh, does anybody there care that these are stolen? No, in fact, they don't.
As a matter of fact, a guy I play hockey with, he's a general plumbing contractor and does big jobs. So obviously he has a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Because he's going to job sites and doing industrial plumbing. And he showed us after hockey one night the video, and it was his Ring camera. And someone drove up at about 5 a.m, looked into his cab of his pickup truck, but saw the big wheel lock system on his steering wheel and drove off. But they were ready to jack his truck and steal it.
Wow.
And I think that's another thing is people have the you get a notification if something pops up on your Ring camera or doorbell camera. So now everyone's driveway is video monitored. People have utilized this whole industry now that's out there. These entrepreneurs have made devices to protect your car. And I just think people are being smarter. Like it used to be, we just didn't think about it, Mike. So
I do think that has contributed to
cold
this
day.
reduction.
Oh, I'm just look my nice neighborhood. Going to start my car, go in, get my travel mug. All right, say bye to the family and head out to work. And you never worried about your car being stolen.
No, I think you're right. I think civil vigilance has definitely is responsible for a lot of the drop in percentage. Look at the numbers. In 2025, the full year, almost 50,000 cars, 47,000 stolen vehicles, which was down 33% from 2023. So in just a couple of years, it came down 33%. Now, right now in the first half of 2026, we're down 10% again, 20,759 vehicles, putting us, we'll be at 45,000, likely 43,000 by the year's end. That is still an insane amount of auto theft. $900 million, $1 billion almost in insurance claims, and only 59% of stolen vehicles are recovered. And when they are, they're not recovered in great shape.
And Ekate, in their research, found a very interesting trend. The more expensive the vehicle, the more likely it's a target. And right now, let's face it, you can go to any major city in Canada and see SUVs, trucks, high-end vehicles, 100, 150,000, over 200,000. So they're concentrating their forces on the really high-end vehicles that will get them the most bang for the buck.
Well, the crime doesn't discriminate on what vehicle you sell. It's a charge against stealing a vehicle.
Yes.
So steal my vehicle, bad on you. Steal somebody else's vehicle worth $180,000 and you get away with it, good on you. But you might as well go for gold if you're going to get the same amount of time and the same crime, the same theft charges.
Now, you explain this to me because this is something they found in their research that I had not heard about, that the RCMP have released a report that's saying stolen or manufactured credentials are being used to obtain auto loans, then used again to insure the vehicle. So then they could get they get a loan on the vehicle that's already stolen.
Right.
They get insurance on the vehicle. It gets stolen. Then they get the insurance payout.
It's absolutely insane. The other thing they're doing is 392 fraudulently obtained vehicles worth about $28 million was just more revinning, chop shops and things like that.
Yeah.
So the crime is changing. So
More sophisticated, right?
I think it's more sophisticated.
Yeah.
I think they're leveraging, by the looks of it, the vehicles that they're selling into washing them into legitimized vehicles. This fraud is what is taking over. It's no less costly. It just seems to be under a thin veil of non-discussion.
It doesn't seem like crime, does it?
It just seems to not get as much coverage because it's not being stolen out of somebody's house. They're leveraging the same vehicle over and over and over again. And so,
Well, the increase is 72% year over year.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a huge trend for the criminal enterprises, Mike.
they use stolen or manufactured IDs to obtain vehicle loans, as you said, and insurance, and then move the vehicles toward export. In other words, they legitimize the vehicles they're selling.
Get the loan for it, get the insurance for it, get it shipped on a container ship to whatever country, and get the insurance, money.
Claim. Yeah, it's that's almost a devastating. And by the way, those apparently this was going on simultaneously in about 2022, 2023. So this is not a new addition or a real trend change.
Yeah.
It's just surfacing now because we've gotten the stolen cars out of the driveway picture down, and we're now seeing behind the curtain a little bit, I think.
And I think for average Canadians, I have a beat up minivan, I have an old commuter car, and you need that so desperately for work. I mean, so many Canadians, if you travel anywhere, you were just in Drumheller.
Yeah.
I was in Truro, Nova Scotia not long ago seeing family. There's no transit in those towns in Canada.
Let me paint a picture for you. I am, by the way, Holiday Inn Gold Elite.
Oh, yes. Give me some of that.
I don't want to brag, but I've stayed in my share of Holiday Inns in the West Coast.
Those
and
morning
across
muffins
Canada.
are amazing.
So you know what I'm talking about, right? People don't understand that bacon is special.
Oh,
But anyway, in these locations, as you travel into rural parts of Canada,
Yeah.
the people that are staying in them are the people that are there working. The
Yeah.
parking lots are full of pickup trucks.
yes.
People have had to travel 100 kilometers or more to do work for the week, often much further away. Here they are now in a different city. Those vehicles are essential to them.
It's got all their tools. It's got their life in those vehicles.
Right. And so if they're stolen, it's a major upheaval, not just to them, to their family, to the insurance companies, but also to the people that are contracting them
Yes.
there to be working, using those tools, and have ability to actually get around. It is a struggle. And in these places, certainly in Vancouver, certainly in parts of Alberta, certainly in certain parts of Quebec, if you park your car at a hotel, the chances are that it could be stolen alongside any other vehicle stolen in that proximity.
I had a friend who was in the Hamilton area, staying in a hotel in Hamilton. He had a wrist injury. So he had a Cadillac Escalade SUV with the luggage rack, the cap.
Oh, right.
Whatever they call. There's different names for them. Anyways, because of his wrist injury, he couldn't take it down. So he thought, I'm just going to drive from his point A to this event he was at in Hamilton, gets to the hotel. It won't go under because of the roof cap. They say, we'll park it outside. Well, sure enough, he gets up the next day after breakfast. It's gone.
Yeah.
Calls the police. They're like, yeah, that's probably in Dubai by now. It's gone.
Yeah.
Forget it. It's already on a ship out of Montreal.
gone. Yeah.
You're never going to get it back. And those are the targeted vehicle stuff like that.
My daughter's
unfortunately.
car was stolen right outside of the place she was staying in Montreal.
Oh.
And once again, the police were like, well, we're very close to the port. That's long gone.
Yeah.
That's in a container we won't find.
You were just in Vancouver. Vancouver has the largest container pier and container port in the country. Bigger than Halifax, bigger than Montreal. It is staggering how much cargo goes in and out of the Vancouver container terminal.
For a later episode,
Yes.
there is no way
No.
we have the right import, export, security, screening. There's absolutely no way.
Look, how many personnel would it take to search all those containers?
What are we going to do? That's for a later episode.
But so this is the problem. So they get stolen. Once it's on that container, the odds of them finding it are slim. Now, the one thing that they're also doing is they're using technology. Everyone has, a lot of people have like the suitcase thing you can put on your phone, your suitcase tracker.
Yeah, I got one right now in our vehicle in Calgary.
Yes.
Let's check on it, shall we?
Right.
Let's see if it's there.
So the vehicle trackers are helping police and police forces and their gang and crime unit find and track vehicles. So if the faster you can report it to your local police and they go, do you have a tracker? Yes, I do. Give me the information. There's a good chance they can intercept it before it gets to a port or before it gets on a container. And because once it's on the container on the cargo hold of a ship, well, then you're in open water. It's,
I feel relieved to tell you our vehicle is still where I left it in Calgary.
Yeah, but this
This was like a no-brainer to us.
You have to.
And it's in a secured, locked storage facility. And still our thought was, We need to keep an eye on this thing.
But that doesn't mean anything anymore, Mike.
No, it
If
doesn't.
people want something bad enough, they'll cut wires in the middle of the night, and before anyone realizes what's going on, it is long gone.
I noticed that Tesla has cameras all over it, and
Yes.
and I think to myself, wow, we're going to get a really good look at the person who stole that vehicle, and the vehicle is still going to be gone. 18% of people believe that new vehicles can withstand modern theft techniques. Only 18% of people believe that.
Yeah, I mean, if a thief wants to get your vehicle, I don't care if you drove it off the lot today or it's 20 years old. That's what they do for a living. They're so good at it. I mean, look at the numbers. That's what they do. They'll get into any car they want.
And I can't imagine that any of the technology that's available can't be defeated. The people that engineered it could be compromised. I think there's a number of ways that technology loses to thieves always. You know, we see it in hacking. We see it in all forms.
They've developed software to create their own fob to open up your vehicle. You've heard of that?
Sons of guns.
Yeah. So
That's rotten. That's unfair.
But think, okay, how many vehicles in Canada now are heavily software dependent?
My car will not start without the software running.
Now, take it to the next level. All the different, it's not just Tesla, but there's now in Canada, there's like 4 or 5 electric vehicle companies that software runs the vehicle, runs everything. If they can get into the software and on the road with a laptop, then they're in your vehicle.
I had a little bit of a freak out, Jim. I was driving along about 2 weeks ago, and my screen in the car went black.
That is scary.
And my thought was, oh no, my car's going to stop running.
Right.
I swear to God, that was my thinking.
And you're looking at your taxing. Is it still running?
Am I still driving? Yeah. It was a freaky moment for me where technology was not available and also not necessary. My car did keep driving. But for a moment, I was like, oh, I better pull over. It reset, and then my podcast started again.
Yeah.
But for a few minutes, I was like, oh, this technology is failing me. I'm going to smash into the wall.
So the police forces, the public safety officers, podcasts like this, we're doing our best to educate and inform people. However, let's be honest, we're always 1 or 2 steps behind the thieves and criminals. I mean, when you see that massive increase of how they're using Fugazi, you know, the fake numbers and fake vehicles to get loans and insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even, you know, so that's something 99% of Canadians wouldn't even, they're doing what?
I thought,
because we don't think like that.
I honestly thought it was a rare, I thought producer Christoph was among the rare number of people doing that fraud, but apparently it's rampant. 35% of people experienced auto theft or know somebody who has. Let's show of hands. Who knows somebody who's had a car
everyone.
So I think that's even a higher
Mike,
number.
and here's the crazy thing. It's not just big cities. We're talking medium, small towns, because you had alluded to the scarcity of vehicles before. In rural communities, farming communities, trying to get your hands on a pickup truck was next to impossible.
Oh, it's crazy.
And all of a sudden, the farmer's pickup, which is their lifeblood, driving around the rural property, was a possibility of being stolen because they were selling it at a profit.
You know, insurance companies don't love selling car insurance. Did you know that? They want
Could
to
have
get you
fooled
for
me
life
what they
and
charge
home
me.
Right. And that's not an accident, because in Canada, selling insurance to people has got to be a nightmare. When 47% of people, if you're in Peel, 61% of people know somebody who's had a car stolen, the insurance rates have to change because the insurance companies cannot keep a head above water on auto insurance. It becomes a loss leader in many insurance. And many insurance companies, I think all of them, are legislated to do auto insurance or they wouldn't.
Well, and the problem is, because of the numbers you're alluding to in different parts of the country, your insurance is based on your postal code.
Right.
So you have to let them know what's your postal code, because they've done the analytics and the stats and go, oh, wait a sec, there's a 61% chance that vehicle will be stolen in that postal code, so you're going to pay more.
39 to 45% difference in my insurance from the year that I lived in Brampton until I moved to my
That
neighborhood.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a daughter who's now in Alberta, in south end of Edmonton. Her insurance is way down from what it was in the York region, north of Toronto.
Absolutely, yeah. And for good reason. I mean, the amount of traffic and things like that.
Yeah.
And the amount of auto theft per capita. I think is a big is a big difference for the insurance companies. But the more we push or allow this to push the insurance companies to the edge, the more that it's costing everybody. The more that these chop shops cut up cars and put them back on the road, the more that it's affecting the auto industry.
I think the idea of cars being stolen in Canada has been around for decades, since the automobile. Since the automobile was on the roads in Canada, cars were being stolen. However, as Canadians, as naturally trusting, law-abiding people, there was a belief that if you were in a rural community, suburban community, you were okay. That's something that happens downtown in the big cities. So what happened beginning, especially in the pandemic, peaking in 2022 or the last few years, has opened the eyes of a lot of Canadians, Mike, that just because you live in a suburban community in a city in Canada, that means nothing. You're as much at risk, as we're seeing from these numbers you're talking about, having your car stolen, as being downtown in the biggest city in the country.
Well, they'll get your car and they can drive away in it. That's the other thing. It's the kind of theft that, unless you catch it while it's happening, it's hard to get them caught. 82% of thefts surveyed happened at or next to the victim's home. So this is the other thing. That proximity of crime to where you're sleeping.
Oh, it's scary.
It's a terrifying proposition for Canadians.
And not every car thief is just going there with some tools to open it. You don't know if they've got a shotgun or a Glock or a knife or what they're capable of. So I know a lot of police forces are like, don't be vigilante because is your car worth your life? Yeah. And that's a question you have to ask.
They could be coming into your home to get a fob or duplicate the fob. I don't even know what they do, but who knows? If your garage is attached to your home and they're going into the garage after the car, which we've seen more and more happening. I know so many people that they don't lock the door between the garage and inside the house because if they do park their car, then they assume it's just okay because the garage door is closed and they just leave it open all the time. We have a regiment in our house every night. Bump, 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 bump. Is everything locked? Next person checks it because that's what it's kind of become. So auto theft, I think, has a lot of emotional impact on the average citizen here because
you feel violated, Mike.
You feel violated first and foremost.
And you're like, wait a sec. Unless you are in an urban area of this country, on a subway line, on the GO train line, with access to transit, there are so many millions of Canadians without their car. They can't get to work. They can't get their kids to school. They can't live.
Exactly. I have to say, I think the numbers are a little outrageous. When we say, okay, 100,000 cars were stolen in 2022, what was it, the numbers? Over 100,000.
Over 100,000.
Over 100,000 cars were stolen in Canada in 2022. And we're down to only 46,000 in 2025, what looks like maybe a similar number in 2026. We need to really be careful about that number. The first number, 100,000, was epidemic, grotesque, in serious putting people in serious jeopardy of thinking about the security of themselves in this country. It put Canada on the map as this rogue nation of car theft. Yeah. And in the end, we're still just around 50,000 cars stolen a year, which is outrageous.
It's nothing to celebrate, Mike.
No, it's not. So I think saying, it's down. It's
a start.
Great. It needs to be eliminated to some degree. And what are those steps? So now I think about that. What can we do? You pointed out, and I pointed out, the shipping container situation is untenable. We have by the way, in many of these key areas where cars are being stolen are hubs of logistics. In other words, there's warehouses, there's trucking fields, there's container yards galore in all of the areas where the cars are being stolen.
And without a tracker, how do you there's no hope of finding it.
One of the things about the tracker that I was told when I was buying this one is that they have trackers.
What does that mean?
Well, they'll approach and see if you've got a tracker in your car. It'll come up on their phone, and they'll just be able to disable it.
Really?
So
they're that sophisticated?
And it's really not that sophisticated, the technology in the first place. So
then you go to the police and say, officer, look, I got a tracker. They're like, oh, it's disabled.
Yeah, it's probably on another car in the lot right now. Let's go see. And sure enough, it'll be discarded or whatever the case.
Wow.
But the this week's crime show focusing on auto, I think, is a good idea because I think the new numbers coming out of the summer might be another shock to us. And I wonder how, various police, how the provinces and how the federal government is going to look at the numbers at the year's end and whether we will celebrate them, because I'm like you. I don't think that they're anything to celebrate.
Here's something that's underlying all of this. Because of the economy, because of interest rates, because of money, I know less and less people buying new cars. They're buying used cars, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Yeah.
And you see new car lots jam with inventory, Mike, jammed. And we depleted the inventory of new cars in the pandemic, and it's changed.
No, there is a glut in the market of cars. You're right. Across the country, when I was traveling the West, car lots were completely full. The storage areas where we were parking our vehicles are full of dealership cars went into,
because they have no room on their dealer lot.
On their dealer lots, right? Yeah, there was several holding spaces. I noticed one shopping mall as we made our way through Saskatchewan, absolutely jammed with white pickup trucks. It was
really?
It looked like AI. So I don't know, but I think you're right. There must be a glut on the and let me ask you, your next car, are you looking for a new car, or are you going to buy used?
Well, I have a used car, and my partner has a used vehicle, and we're going to have to keep it driving at least a couple more years before we even think about it.
Exactly.
Financially.
I think most Canadians are in that boat.
We have to just keep it going.
Yeah. So the other thing I think the thieves are going to find is that there are aging cars out there that people are just not willing to get rid of. One, because go ahead, steal my clunker.
I got a Civic that's 12 years old. You think you want to go to jail for that? Go for it.
Have a nice time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's going to be a bit more of that out there as well. In the comments, if you don't mind, what are the solutions?
What are your experiences?
What happened to you? What happened with your car when it got stolen? And how did you feel? Jim, thanks for talking about this.